In this video, I would like to show you how we can create very difficult shapes to do in SketchUp, mainly organic and curved shapes, because SketchUp in general can make easily cylinders, arcs, and cubes, and that's basically it. For the rest, it's kind of not so good. Okay, and again, everything what we do here, we can later bring back into SketchUp, so that's kind of like the beauty about it. You have two free programs at your disposal and you can literally create whatever geometry you need. Okay, so I would like to create an arc that, for example, maybe goes this way. So we can, for example, frame maybe the bike, not the bike, the car a little bit better. So I want to start at the correct height and at the middle. So I select those 2 points, Shift S, cursor to selected, Shift A, in object mode, create a plane, and maybe select these 2 points, global, okay, control, and snap it to there. Perfect. And then maybe S and X, snap to there. So there's the overall width we have. So the beauty of sub-D modeling with Blender, for example, is that we can create so-called low polygon cage geometry and then actually automatically smooth it out. So here again you see I used the snap tool one time along the Z and one time along the Y to connect this shape. And there's our arc. Now this arc, I go to add modifier, subdivision surface, I add maybe level 4, and there we see there's an arc. Now that arc currently is paper thin, so maybe we want to add a little bit of thickness. Here we can use the solidify modifier again, maybe 4 inches. Let's see. Okay, oh, that actually tells me here this one has to go onto this level there. And actually here I move this one back. No wait, I keep it. This one I move down. Control click and there. Okay. And maybe if we want to match the thickness, let's see how much that is. Oh, it looks like 6 inches. Yeah, 0.6 inches. Perfect. So you see, that's another nice thing about Blender because it's object based and you can also work with dimensions. You don't have any scale issues when you mix this with SketchUp and AutoCAD. Because essentially SketchUp is working with polygons, that's what Blender is doing, so there's literally no difference. Okay, so 2 things we have to change. First, I don't really like how this stuff is really round. So I can select all those edges, but not actually those edges in between. So with having those edges selected, and press N, so you see under transform this mean crease, and take a look at what happens. The subdivision surface modifier kind of like makes everything soft. Think about like it's melting it, like water wants to form a bubble. So the geometry wants to form a bubble. And at the edges, I want to override that behavior, so I crease it. So now it is actually razor sharp. There. And it perfectly matches even our floor plan. Okay. So another nice thing about is using this process with the subdivision surface modifier, creating really fluid shapes. We still only have to deal with few control polygons. So for example, now I can match maybe the different starts and ends, and zip. This is all nice and fluid. Maybe this point here I move out a little bit, so we have a better transition maybe. And maybe this one. And let's say at one point, nah, nice idea, it doesn't work out. You select everything. This is the x-axis. You press S, X, 0, so we scale it along X, so they're all aligned. And then you can move this one, press Control, and snap to X. And press Control, hold, click, and there we have it all snapped back. Zip. Okay. Let's shade this one nice and smooth. And then it looks kind of crappy. Okay. And let's add an edge split modifier. That edge split modifier keeps everything that's nice and soft, and where we have sharp edges, it breaks the edge. Okay, so what one can do now is, for example, in shaded mode, you want to click this one. So when we click with B, make a selection. Ooh, oops, I'm an idiot. I meant, of course, if you're in shaded mode, do not have this turned on. So off. B, select over, and you see it selects through your object. Because then this way you can easily start massaging and sculpting your space. And take a look at this profile. Now, if it's, for example, irritating to always see those mesh lines, we can go to the subsurface and turn this one on, and you see then it actually projects this onto the geometry. And then there we can do this. And maybe for final sculpting, that's actually what I would do. Gives you a better representation. Okay, so now I know that Rasha wanted to have some openings here. That's another area where SketchUp offers you solid tools. If you go Pro, which means open your wallet and pay for it, and we have it actually free, built in into Blender here. So let's save this for a moment. And let's say we would like to have an opening from here to there. I select this guy. Let's see what's his height. Oh, 4 feet. Yeah, small. Let's go to Object and say apply scale. What couldn't apply to multi? Okay, Shift D. So let's see. This is now a single object. Apply scale. Okay, and maybe you 6.4 feet. Oh, obviously I should scale him and not just stretch him. So that guy is now kind of like 6 feet. But actually that means maybe these cars, I have the feeling there's a scale issue right now. Maybe everything got scaled by accident a little bit. So, yeah, because this guy proportion-wise looks okay. So let's assume actually the figures are in the right scale. So this is really where the head is. So we want to cut in an opening here. The scaling issue later we have to adjust afterwards. And there's even a multiplier where the whole scene gets increased and decreased. Because I think if I move him to here, yeah, then there you actually see. So this guy here actually, that seems to make sense. How high he is. Okay. Maybe let's work with this one and everything is correct, and we can just scale up the furniture. So we want to have an opening through this part. So maybe go to top view, right click, the mouse, Shift A, cube, and G and Z, control till it snaps on the bottom part. And so this, for example, is 6, 5. So because he actually is as tall as I am, but he stands on a 6-foot pedestal already, this one has to be a little bit taller, so maybe till there. So now I just eyeball basically the distance, the guy to my cube. This makes it down to 8 feet. Maybe let's clean it to 8 feet. And maybe intersect it like this, there. And I call this one maybe door. Just Boolean door, so I know what it is. Click this arc, go to the modifier, and say Boolean intersect. So now we add a solid volume operation. We cut a volume out, and the volume we want to cut away is from this object. So Boolean door. And let's take a look. There it is. Now we have to change something with our order here. You see there are small arrows, so we want to move this one up first. So we smooth it, we thicken it, we cut, and then we sharpen the edges. That's more the proper workflow. But then you see, yeah, we have a small problem here. This is kind of like a trip hazard. So maybe Alt-H, this cube actually has to be wider, maybe till there. And I don't want all the time press H and Alt-H to show and hide this object. So I click onto the object properties, go to display and say wire. So then that object is shaded only with the wires. And if I move this one around, you see it perfectly cuts everything out. Pretty nice in real time. How big is this door actually, by the way? X, well, 6 feet. That's a little much. Maybe 5 feet. Maybe for a person. Should be enough. Top view, maybe center it to the car if we want so. Okay, now there we have an annoying stair. So what about somebody with a wheelchair? Good luck. So maybe here we have to build in some ramps. Now we can actually build the ramps as secondary objects, or we can simply change the geometry of this cube so it cuts that space out accordingly. So we go to edit mode for this cube, go to tools, go to loop cut. I move my mouse onto this horizontal edge and you see those magenta lines. Then I press 2 and left mouse button, click and press enter. Leave the edit mode, nothing changes. But what I can do now is actually this. So this face or in this edge, actually I, for example, move up, control snap onto this edge there. Let's take a look. Hey, you see that? There I have a gap. And the loop cut actually, so this one, by changing this, allows me to smooth out, for example, the ramp nicely. And I have to be careful, you see here, here actually we might even really have to put in a ramp because this one goes up. So in this case, what I'm going to do, let's see, here, this object, there we go and say you add Boolean difference and Boolean door, and let's cut the space out there as well. Okay, so let's see. So I'm going back actually in this case. Now I realized, oh, maybe this is actually better if we do it in this case really as a two-step process. So I simply leave this one brutally cutting everything out. Zip, I extend this one. Okay, not a big deal. And then this cube, I Shift D, press Escape so I don't move it. Move this one up, Control snap to this edge, so I reposition the height. And then actually I can turn off this wire and go back to solid, go to edit mode, move this one down till it snaps to there, move this one over there, and then move this one to there. And look at that, there's my ramp. And maybe this one I move in a little bit. Okay. Shift S, Control to cursor, leave edit mode, set origin 3D cursor, and then I can press Alt D, press Y, move it over. Actually, I could now press R, Z 180, so along the Z axis are rotated by 180 degrees. Maybe here, this we have to move over a little bit, and then there along the y-axis move, press Control, hold it, snap, and perfect. Now the question is, do we want this one to go to there? Do we want this edge actually and there? G and Y and Control. No, G, Y, Control there. It's snapped, but then I have this gap, which means now I have to go to edit mode, select those points, G and Y, move my mouse to the edge of my ramp, hold Control, left mouse button click, press tab, leave edit mode, can hide actually this box, and there's the opening cut in with two separate ramps. So that, for example, as a small illustration into the power of what I call or consider sub-D modeling, and in this case for making simple fluid shapes for exhibit design, and then making use of the interactive Boolean modifiers to cut spaces out. And maybe just as for giggles, let's create some nice cuts into the ceiling. So here, S and Y, zip, let's go to there, S and X, okay, so it has to stick out. Let's Boolean, maybe Boolean roof, okay, there. So let's maybe move it to here, and then let's add a modifier array, maybe 4, and maybe let's move it out till the distance here is equal. So that's good. It would be nice actually if you could do an array from the center point evenly to each side. So this one here again, I set into wire mode. Okay, go to there, add another Boolean, move this one above the edge, set it to union, difference, type in Boolean, and then maybe roof. And even there, if we just move this one down, you see it automatically cuts everything. This is a pretty nice tool actually. Height. Okay, so for modeling, I would actually keep those boxes visible, but once maybe you're done, and also when we go into rendering, you want to press M and maybe move them onto a different layer so they're permanently gone there. Okay, and those objects maybe you want to change, maybe ramp 1, and we call this one ramp 2. And there we are.